of Las Vegas, when you work there, can you act like a tourist?
I beg your pardon?
When you work in Vegas, can you act like a tourist? Can you go up and...
No, I don't. First of all, I don't work in Vegas. The only place I've worked like that is in Harrah's in Lake Tahoe. And, yeah, I like that. Mrs. Harrah here. But I enjoy that a great deal. And, you know, if I'm working someplace, it's kind of difficult to get out and around. Ann and I went to a movie yesterday in Carbondale, Illinois. And we got in all right, but such a crowd had gathered by the time the movie was over that there were some police to escort me out the back way to get to our car, that kind of thing.
Yes. What's it like spending New Year's Eve on stage with Frank Sinatra?
Well, that hasn't actually occurred, but we're talking about doing a show sometime on New Year's Eve.
Oh, I thought you had a New Year's Eve at Tahoe with Sinatra.
No, we were going to do that, and I don't know why that got canceled, but we've not done it yet, sir.
So you've not been on the same bill?
We have worked together 3 times, yes.
Oh, I thought so. Okay,
yeah.
just not New Year's Eve.
We worked Harrah's twice. We did a show in Los Angeles once, a benefit show together, and we did our television special together. And it's magic to work with him. I mean, that guy is so good. He's the best. And he, you know, Annie and I, so many people ask us, what's he really like? He's an incredible, charming, wonderful man. He's a real gentleman, and it's a joy to be around him. And I love Frank very much.
I guess this is a terrible thing to key on, but who goes on first?
It will be my pleasure to open a show for Mrs. Sinatra anytime, anywhere.
Speaking of Frank Sinatra, we loved you in Oh God, and what is George Burns really like?
He's just as wonderful as you might imagine. He's such a far-out old dude, you know. He has all these great stories. First of all, he's a real professional. He was always there on time, always had his lines, always, you know, I mean, he knew exactly what was going on and handled himself incredibly throughout the filming, which I thought might have been tiring for him. And then when he's not on the set and we're back and they're changing lights and stuff, and he tells all these incredible stories about vaudeville and about Gracie, and he smokes a cigar, and it's George Burns, man, and you love him. I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so.
Are you going to be making any more movies, is the question.
Yes, and I would like to do that very much.
That was kind of risky, you know. I give you credit for you didn't have to take that risk with the movie.
Yes. Well, you know, it's like I want to see how far I can go, how much I can do with this talent that I have. And I feel that the talent that I have somehow has to do with that aspect of people being able to relate to me, whether it's through the music or whether it's through films, or now I'm starting to speak a little bit once in a while in regard to certain things. And so whatever it is, you know, I'm going for it. I refuse to accept anything less than all that life has to offer, or to give anything less than all that I can give to life. And
we are in Chicago with John Denver. And I'll get a new mic and we'll be back in just a moment. That's John Denver, and those of you, I don't know if you're clerically ready for this, but those of you who'd like to share your feelings with John, that's Post Office Box 1587, Aspen, Colorado. Yes.
John, I'd like to know if you have any concerts planned for down south anytime soon. Mississippi?
Mississippi, no. We were down in Mississippi on our spring tour. In the spring, we did a concert tour. In a period of 64 days, we did 57 concerts in 51 cities across the United States. We played just under 1 million people, and right now we're doing, I think, 15 concerts pretty much in the Midwest and the Northwest in areas that we didn't play in the spring, but none of them in Mississippi, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, John, I was wondering if you did any type of experience with psychic experiences when you work with your music, or Eastern philosophies on that.
Well, I was about to say well-versed, and that would be inaccurate. I'm very interested in Eastern philosophies, and a lot of that is in my life without my being able really to articulate some of the specifics. And I do feel psychic, and I have no specific experience to base that on beyond my own life and things that are going on. You know, it's like doing this now, being in the situation, the space that I'm in right now, and some of the things that are going on right now in my life is stuff that I first saw in my life when I was 12 years old. And I remember that. And that's kind of interesting to me. And there have been a lot of things like that, and I'm very anxious to see where it goes.
You mean like a deja vu? You've been here before?
Well, no, not so much that, Phil. It's like one of the things that I'm involved in right now is in fact, something I'm missing today in doing the show, I've been appointed to a Presidential Commission on Hunger. And our second meeting is going on today in Washington, D.C. And that kind of comes out a whole lot of feelings that I have in regard to making some contribution to the quality of life on this planet. There's a foundation that I have, which is called the WinStar Foundation. And we're involved in putting together an experimental community to develop alternative sources of energy, to develop new ways of growing foods in an area where you really aren't supposed to be able to grow some of the things that we're starting to grow. And this is stuff that I started, that I had in my mind really clearly as far back as I can take it is when I was 12 years old. But, to think of something like that when you're 12 years old and to have it stay with you and then all of a sudden have it becoming a real thing in the universe, that's very interesting to me.
With your view of the mountains, I mean, I assume, I shouldn't assume, I assume that you believe in a prime force or you have some transcendent energy concept. You believe in God or whatever. Maybe you don't call him God or her or... I guess I want to know how, I assume you were raised traditionally in the traditional...
Yes, I was raised as a Presbyterian, and people quite often now ask you, are you a Christian and now in the world people might come up and say, are you a Zen Buddhist or something like that. And the way I handle that is I answer yes to all of those questions, regardless of what specific discipline they're talking about in regard to religion. I'm very much a spiritual man. I do believe in God. I do believe that each of us is a child of God and that God lives within us. And I do really experience oneness with people in that context, if you will. And I have no need of tying it to a specific discipline. In fact, one of the things that I get in discussions with people quite a lot is that there's so much in religion today that has us separating ourselves one from the other. But if you look at it, what happens is that this group of people over here, they have these feelings that we have in us about things that we can't explain, some of the things that are almost impossible to understand. We've given articulation and definition to those out of certain words and certain aspects of the environment in which we are raised, in which we grow. And over here, these people who live here have this form and these words that they use to describe it, and over here these people have this form and these words and this way that they practice it, and over here there's another form. But don't you see, we're all talking about the same thing.
I don't want to get caught on time, so I'm gonna ask you just one more time to pick up your magic instrument there.
And actually, if I can, I'm a little hoarse this morning. From our concert lasts 2.5 hours. I'm on stage for 2.5 hours without a break. And I'm reminded of the opera singer that I did, one of your, Mike Douglas. I did a Mike Douglas show once with an opera singer, and I was trying to think of something to say, so I didn't say all of that. But anyway, this guy had talked about how he normally didn't clear his throat before noon, and so I feel like that this morning. I've also recognized